Hello and welcome, I am Raziel, and it is Heresy Thursday, so there's a new model actually, and it's little Horus Aximand. The traitor, I actually think he's kind of cool with this model. I like him. I think this is a model well done. It's not perfect, there is one issue I have with it, but overall I think it's a nice looking model. And let's go through what I like, because apparently that's what I do now. And no, I do like doing this. I like talking about things like this. Anyway, let's talk about the head first, because I think this Ryan Reynolds looking, Deadpool looking head. I'm sorry, when I saw this head, my first thought went to Deadpool. It really did. It's not a bad looking head, and it does represent little Horus Aximand pretty well, because he does look like Horus. You know, I can't really argue. But when I first saw it, my first thought was Deadpool. I think he looks really cool. I love it. I think that the way the sort of skin's loose because of his face being cut off by Haibu Khan, that is the right one, I hope. The scar here as well. It looks really nice. I think it looks very cool. It is one of those heads where I would definitely question whether to put the helmet on it or the actual fleshy head, because I'd be like, they both look really cool. Which one should I do? Knowing me, I'd go helmet, but this is a nice looking head. I also like, believe it or not, the lack of bolts or staples here. You know, this isn't, it kind of adds something to it by not being so 40k. Having just a normal scar without all the bolts and staples and drills and screws and everything else keeping it together kind of makes it look better. And makes him stand out as a model to anyone else who has this sort of same scarring, but has, you know, all the extra added bits to it. I think he looks really cool. This is a nice looking head. I like this eye. That is really cool. You know, yeah, it's a nice looking head. And this side of, gotta say, I think it's fantastic. I really do. The helmeted head is just as good as well. I love the boar tusks. It looks nasty. It looks evil. You know that he's a traitor. Almost looks like he's going down the path of Khorne. I do like these little indications they are doing in some of these heresy models. Seeing as this is meant to be late heresy as well. And yeah, I do like this helmet. Still don't like the top knot. I don't like them, so I would get rid of that because I don't like them. And that's it. This is nothing. It's me saying it's bad or awful. It's just something I don't like. But I do like this helmet. I think it looks really, really cool. I love his pose. His pose shows off his arrogance. Let me explain, because I think this is a very arrogant pose. You have a very defensive stance here. He is preparing for an attack. He's got his shield and his stabby. This is a nice looking sword, by the way. But his pose is ready for an attack. However, his shield is lowered. His whole posture is, you know, to prepare for this attack, but it's also tempting someone to make the attack. And he's ready with his sword behind his shield slightly lowered to make him look slightly less defensible. And yeah, honestly, this is a nice storytelling pose. I freaking love it. This is so cool. I think it's fantastic. I love the tattered leather hair, by the way. I think this looks really good. And his sword is so basic. It looks good. I love it. I think that this basic sword, this is a stabby sword. Nothing ceremonial, nothing special. Really cool. And I think I like the number plate here. I think overall, the pose and the armor, it looks good. I like the helmet. I like the shield in the way it is. However, and there is a bit of a however, he looks like an ultramarine. Because look how many times the Eye of Horus, the symbol of Horus's, the Sons of Horus, appear on his armor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can assume one on his other arm from there, and assume one on his backpack. That's 8. And what makes it really stupid? There's 2 on the shield. There should only be one and just kept this big one. That would have been so much better. This one in the middle just looks a little bit daft. It looks a little bit silly. When they could have just kept this large one and have a really cool looking shield. But yeah, I think it's just so much here kind of ruins it a little bit. Though I like the filigree here and here. That looks kind of cool and neat, giving like his armor an ancient look, and which is cool. But just having the symbol of Horus on it so many times kind of ruins it for me. And that's just me, by the way. If you like it, that's fine. Just missing my opinion. And I didn't count this one here because that's obviously painted on. So that's artistic choice there. So yeah, it's a nice looking model. I love his pose. I think he looks good. He actually looks well painted. I know I shouldn't really make that comment for Forge World, but it's a habit I've got into since I've been looking at the Imperialis Legions Imperialis. So it's basically my only issue is the eye here. There's just so many times you see the symbol. Hey, did you know what Legion he's in? Sons of Horus. Yeah, what gave it away? Was it the paint scheme? No, just the absolute abundance of symbols. Let's look at the rules. Right there, showing off. Little Horus, his warlord trait. I like this. It's very fluffy. Very, very fluffy indeed. Little Horus. For the first time in any battle when Horus Aximand is reduced to 0 runes, for any reason, he is not removed as a casualty, but instead remains in play and regains D3 runes. This has no effect against attacks where or rules which remove the model as a casualty without inflicting wounds, or against attacks with an instant death special rule. So anything that's double his toughness is going to kill him outright. Which is kind of cool because it means it adds a little bit of extra narrative fluff. It's cool. You know, it's a bit more immersive. Always makes me I don't like it, and it's one thing I have seen is when you get models which can regain runes, but even against things that are instant death, you know, those always kind of I just don't like them. But when it's instant death, it should be instant death, no matter what your special rule is. That should just trump that, because they literally have atomized the body. There's nothing coming back from that. In addition, any army whose warlord has this trait may make an additional reaction during the shooting phase, as long as the warlord has not been removed as casualty. I don't know why they put that last bit in, because if your warlord is gone, the rules are gone. It just seems a bit silly to add that extra little bit. No, it's a nice little fluffy rule, and it kind of suits him as this badass, because obviously he's got that big scar on his head from Haibu Khan. It's brilliant. Haunted. The betrayal of his brethren upon Istan 3, Horus Aximand was racked with guilt, seemingly haunted by the ghost of his former mournable brother, Garville Loken. Following his discovery that Loken still lived, their paths and blades would cross again before the conclusion of the conflict. If Garville Loken is removed as a casualty whilst locked in combat with Horus Aximand or any unit he has joined, that's Horus Aximand, then Horus Aximand's controlling player, why say Horus Aximand, gains +1 bonus victory point, in addition to any other points others that might be gained from this. Bonus is increased to +2 victory points if Garville Loken is removed as a casualty while engaged in. Yeah, it's really cool, nice and fluffy special rules. Suits him off really well. I think it's good. I like it. I think it's a nice model. It's a shame you have to get the Peter Garman book just to get his rules. That's kind of nice. So if you play Sons of Horus right now, you're going to have to take 2 rule books for this model if you play Sons of Horus. 3 if you use the Siege of Catonia. Honestly, I still think that GW needs to start making character sheets free online. Completely free. If people want to buy the book, they'll buy the book. Okay? Whether or not they collect the army. If they want the book for the fluff, for the lore, people are going to buy it. That's one reason people buy campaign books. There's no reason not to have these guys' rules online for free. There's no reason not to have it at all. It needs to do that. But it's a nice looking model. I think he looks really cool. My only issue is the amount of symbols on him. It kind of need to be dialed back a little bit. But yeah, I like him. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you all in the next one. And which is tomorrow is what does 40k always win? And oh god, that's gonna be fun tomorrow. and see you then. Link to Wayland Games down below if you wish to save up to 20% on your Warhammer and free delivery after £20. Forbidden Planet for comics, manga, etc, 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 all the toys and cool stuff. And there is my merchandise as well, comics, t-shirts, mugs, and there is also Skyforge. Always give Skyforge a big click, just give him a little bit of love. He's a friend of mine, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.